Thank you for browsing page 121. Today we're going to jump into Unearthed Arcana and look at a spell that was kind of a big deal when it first came out, and then not so big a deal, and I'll explain it, at least at my table. So the spell we're talking about is Energy Drain. It's a level 9 spell, so it's pretty high level, as high as they go. Range is touch, duration's permanent, 1 creature area of effect, verbal, somatic, and material components, 3-segment casting time, no saving throw. By casting this spell, the magic user opens a channel between the plane he or she is on and the negative material plane. The caster becomes the conductor between the two planes. As soon as he or she touches, equal to a hit in melee, any living creature, the victim loses 2 energy levels as if struck by a specter. A monster loses 2 hit dice permanently, both for hit points and attack ability. A character loses levels, hit dice, and hit points and abilities permanently until regained through adventuring, if applicable. I would allow a restoration spell to work on this as well. The material component of this spell is the essence of specter or vampire dust. Preparation requires 3 segments. The material component is then cast forth, and upon touching the victim, the magic user speaks the trigger word, causing the Wheelmer to take effect instantly. There is always a 5% chance, a 1 in 20, that the caster will also be affected by the energy drain and lose 1 energy level at the same time the victim is drained of 2. Humans or humanoids brought to 0 energy level by the spell become juju zombies. Kind of a lot to unpack. When I first read this spell, I was pretty excited. I liked the idea of getting a little revenge in all the years of fearing vampires and wights and specters, and being nervous about having them drain energy levels. So I thought, our turn. So I didn't have a magic user who was high enough to cast this spell when this book came out. In fact, it'd be a couple of years, many years, before any of my guys got high enough to cast it. But in the meantime, I used it for Big Bad Evil Guys a few times. Ooh. And I actually did one where a Big Bad Evil Guy, through the use of this spell for various reasons, and he had the spell off an item. He wasn't a high-level magic user, but he could use Energy Drain as a spell once a day. For various reasons in the story, the caster, he was a magic user, just not high enough level to cast the spell on his own. He decided he was going to pose as a vampire. And to do that, he kind of did the whole vampire thing, only came out at night and very drawn and pallid and things like that. But he also used the Energy Drain spell to drain down an NPC of 2 levels right there while the players were there. So that kind of put a little fear into them, so they thought they were dealing with a vampire magic user, so they were really cautious. They were only about 7th level, so they were very nervous about this guy being a vampire MU. And that was a lot of fun. I was able to kind of mess with them a little bit, and all through the use of this spell, which I had given off of an item to the NPC in question. And interesting answer to that, what happened to the item? Yes, they did defeat the NPC. They did loot the corpse, as they always do. And this did go to a player character who went around for a little while in my campaign using the magic item and trying to drain spells, or drain levels. The problem is you have to score a melee to hit. That's very hard for a magic user to do, even when they're up at 18th level, which is the minimum level to cast this spell. So what I found when I used this as an NPC, and then finally as a player character, I found that really it's not that effective. The odds of being able to touch some of the armor classes you'd encounter when you're an 18th level magic user, to just walk up and touch them, are not great. I did have one where I kind of suckered a guy, and I walked up and just laid a hand on him, not in combat. That started the combat, but I did suck down 2 levels. So that was kind of neat, but I don't know, it was not the spell I'd been hoping for, because I didn't get a lot of chance to actually use it. And at this point, I rarely take it for my player character. But I do use this spell for Big Bad Evil Guys, because it can be a lot of fun. You give the Big Bad Evil Guys a couple of intrinsic places to hit bonus, so maybe they're +3 for whatever reason. And so that gives them a little bit better chance to be able to do this. I like it for that reason. I think at the time I was really excited about it, but once I actually read the spell, realized how hard it was to actually touch in combat, and then even a 5% chance of having the spell drain down one of my levels in addition to draining my opponent, frankly, is too high a penalty to pay. It's an 18th level magic user that casts this because it's a 9th level spell, the highest slot you can have, And on top of that, you got a 5% chance of having this thing backfire and drain you down to full level. Honestly, it's just never been worth it to me. I have used it as an NPC, I used it as a player character, but not to good effect and not with the negative aspect of it, possibly being drained down. I do have some monsters wandering around. The Juju zombies, I have had a couple of those where the magic user in question drained down some locals and turned them into Juju zombies, and the players were dealing with that. So there are quite a few uses for this spell. It's just that if you're looking for a good melee spell for your high-level magic user, this is not it. This is not going to get it done. I was disappointed. A lot of the spells in Unearthed Arcana were actually seen in other stuff. I think Energy Drain was, but honestly I don't remember off the top of my head. I didn't look into that before I made this video. But I'm pretty sure Energy Drain was in one of those, possibly Module S4. And a lot of the higher level magic user spells, just frankly, weren't all that good in Unearthed Arcana, which is a bit of a problem. But in any case, that's Energy Drain. It's a spell that's not seen a lot of use at my table, but a little bit, mostly because of level. And then after the level, you've got to worry about actually hitting someone, so that becomes a problem too. And a 5% chance of you getting drained to level, which is also a problem. So because of those reasons, limited use at my table, but I do pop it out now and again for Valpurgis or just a big bad evil guy that I want to have it, and it can be fun for that. But that's all I've got today on page 121. I want to thank you for your time. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Tell your friends. Let's keep the channel growing. Also take a look at the Patreon, see if there's anything you can do to help me out there. But I want to thank you for your time, and I'll see you next time on page 121.